Hi everyone, today is day 57 of the Vendée Globe, and what a moment in the race. Over the weekend, we've watched first Yannick Bestavan rounding Cape Horn, followed quite closely by Charlie Dalin on Apivia. Both boats opting for slightly different strategies, with Yannick remaining further offshore and Charlie passing inside Staten Island and the notorious Straits Le Mare. Today, two more boats have rounded, Thomas Ruyant and the impressive Damian Seguin, the first non-foiler to pass this magical landmark. Next to pass in the next few hours will be Benjamin Detruex and the chasing pack, which of course includes Boris Herrman and Jean Le Cam. It's a difficult week ahead, quite tactical, and there will be opportunities for the chasing pack to close up. So let's not forget, in 2016, Alex Thomson was over 700 miles behind Armel Le Cleach at Cape Horn. And of course, Ellen Macarthur, who made up a huge deficit of 600 miles on Mich Desjoyeaux in 2001. So joining me today to look closely at the South Atlantic is Will Harris, a former co-skipper for Boris Herrman in the TJV. Welcome, Will.
Hi, good evening. How you
Hey.
doing, Comrade?
Yeah, not too bad. Just wondering how Boris is shaping up. He's obviously rounding the Horn at the moment with quite a few other boats.
Yes, so tonight he'll be rounding the Horn for, I think it'll be his fifth time he's been around there. So it's not the first time he's been around it, but for sure it will be quite a relieving moment for him. It's been a tough few weeks in the Southern Ocean. It's felt like it's gone on forever for him, I think. So he'll be really glad to be back in the South Atlantic. And as we've seen with these foiling boats, they really don't go that quick when it's wavy. So I think he'll be really looking forward to some flatter water conditions once he's in the shelter of the Horn as well. So yeah, he's in good shape. The boat's in good shape. No majors at the moment, so things are looking good.
Good, good. Well, I thought for everyone at home, we'd just have a quick look at the Atlantic Ocean in general, both south and north, and just talk a little bit about some of the main features of the route back up there. And then you've had a look at some of the routing ahead for the next few days, I know. So if we just bring up this quick graphic, can you just talk us through the main sort of features in a typical Atlantic, the sort of more dependable features that you would see here?
Yeah, so you can see this is pretty good way of explaining the whole kind of situation for the way back. You've got the two features there. So first in the South Atlantic, you have the St. Helena High, and this is kind of a semi-permanent high pressure system that's rotating in the Southern Ocean, rotating in a clockwise direction because you're south of the equator. And basically the fleet are going to have to get up around this. It's too far to go all the way around to the east of it. So they have to pass to the west of it and try and find any systems or opportunities to sail a good angle against kind of the prevailing upwind conditions initially, and then as they get close to the equator, it will be more trade wind conditions from the east, so they'll be able to reach their way up towards the doldrums. And you basically have a almost identical situation in the northern hemisphere with the Azores High. You can see off the coast of Europe is it's another anticyclone, another high pressure that's rotating in the opposite direction because you're in the northern hemisphere. So they'll have to pass around that as well. So they're kind of the two main features, and of course the doldrums as well to pass. But since they'll be able to sail further west as they go through these doldrums, they should be able to sail in a slightly narrower part of it. And certainly once they go around the Horn, it's really not an easy situation once you get around this part. It's along the coast of South America. There's kind of a notorious area for formation of kind of new weather systems. The systems kind of develop along the coast, and they'll always be making their way towards the east. So and you basically have something called the South Atlantic Convergence Zone, which is the meeting of the warm air moving in from the tropics and kind of being forced down to the south, while at the same time you have cold air being forced up towards the north from these Southern Ocean storms that they've been dealing with. So when these two systems meet, it can create whole new weather systems which are pretty active and difficult to predict. And You can see here on this graphic, this is the wind conditions tomorrow at 6 a.m. UTC. So, and that black route there that's Boris's expected routing. So he'll be past Cape Horn and just going around the corner of it there. But what they're going to have to deal with first is this. You can see that there's a big anticyclone, a big high pressure to the north of the Falklands, and that's basically a reformation of the St. Helena High being forced all the way to the west. And then it'll slowly make its way back towards its usual position in the east. So that's kind of going to be the dominating feature over the next few days, which the fleet will have to deal with. So it's always changing. The conditions are always different. And if we skip forward a bit to I think there's another image in the next few days, you can see how that high pressure has moved back towards the east. And Boris's expected route is to pass just along the western side of it. Yeah. And at the same time, what's happening even a little bit further to the west of him is you've got a new depression forming, and that's kind of going to be the next system that he has to make his way towards and kind of get around to have an opportunity to keep working his way north. But they're such small and quick systems that within 24 hours, 48 hours, you're into the next one. So this is Friday at 1200 UTC. If we skip forward to Sunday at 1800 UTC, you can see that that small system that was to the west of Boris is now passed down towards the southeast of him, and he's searching for the next system that he can find. So you might think that although you're around Cape Horn and out the worst of the conditions, he's still got quite a few tactical and strategical battles to play with, especially with the boats around him being so close. And you're not far from the finish now, so you're really going to want to push and try and gain every mile you can. And so yeah, it's quite an interesting situation before they even get towards the trade winds.
So do you think we're expecting, in terms of times back up the Atlantic, it to be like pretty much the most of the race so far? They're going to be perhaps slowed down by the picking their way through these systems. Is it going to be quite difficult like that?
Yeah, it's certainly what it looks like the next few days. It's not just a simple ride up. It's not like there's one system which they can ride all the way up there, sailing in nice downwind conditions. They've got to I think the tricky bit will be the transition between each of the systems. We see there's sort of 2 or 3 different systems there. There's the high pressure initially, and then there's getting around the depression, and then they've got to re-find the kind of the trade winds, or the next where the St. Helena High is. And each time you transition between these systems, you're effectively finding a whole new wind, and you have to completely change the setup of the boat, try and keep it sailing at optimal speeds, and that will cost time and energy. So it's not going to be that easy. And like we've seen in the first parts of the race as well, it's been kind of a case of sort of sticking the conditions together a bit. So no, it's not going to be that easy.
Yeah, and mentally, the guys are going to be tired, to then have to think, right, we're getting out the Southern Ocean, we can sort of relax a bit. They've actually got, a really difficult strategic few days ahead to try and position their boats in exactly the right place. And of course, that means not a lot of rest.
I think the kind of the overall strategy for making their way back up is set at the moment. However, sort of within 15-20 miles of separation, you could see really big differences in the wind and the conditions, and suddenly what could be 15 miles between the boats could easily jump up to sort of 100-200 miles. And at the moment, Boris is about 650 miles off of first place, and that distance could completely could either extend a lot more, or it could completely disappear, depending on what weather systems they are and kind of how it actually plays out. So certainly it's quite an exciting part of the race, because the foilers especially will be able to push their boats really hard because it's flat water conditions, and they'll be able to sail much closer to 100%. And at the same time, there's all these systems and transitions. So it's about who's the best sailor and getting through it as well. If you can sail a really smart race, then you've got every chance of catching up.
Yeah. And what about Boris's sort of mental toughness? I mean, he's obviously during the race been incredibly, relaxed and I think has stayed, well into his comfort zone. Do you think he's in a good place? Because that's going to make quite a big difference in this next 3 weeks if it's very, very tactical.
Yeah, I think Boris is in, quite a good place at the moment. He's always one to sail quite conservatively, and it's proven to work so far. He's still in the race and not far off the leaders, and that's where he wanted to be at this stage. Um, how he'll change in the next few weeks, it'll be really interesting to see. Maybe he's been kind of hinting that once he gets around Cape Horn, that this is his time to attack. This is his time to, gain back those miles that the non-foilers have taken on him in the Southern Ocean, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll see him do that, or but it all kind of depends on, yeah, like you say, his mental attitude as he gets around. Maybe fingers crossed that the boat stays in one piece and he doesn't have any small problems, but the smallest of things at that point in the race could really have a big difference on his mental attitude. So I think if the boat's in good shape, then Boris will be in pretty good shape to make some attacking moves.
Yeah, well, I think certainly, next week or so probably pretty critical for everyone. Let's hope the St. Helena High sort of restores and they get some rest before moving across the doldrums and thrashing it out in the last few thousand miles around the Azores High. But we were talking to Andy Robertson yesterday, and there's still potential for boats to obviously have problems and to drop out. He's right in the hunt here. It'd be fantastic to have a non-French winner of this race.
No, exactly. We've got to have so hopefully we can have an international on the podium. That would be a really great way to finish it. But he's done an amazing job so far of keeping the boat together and to keep it as kind of steady pace that he's doing at the moment. But yeah, we'll see how they get on. And as well as that, there's once they get up past St. Helena High, they're into the trade winds, and I think that'll be a really interesting bit to see as well, to see how the foilers perform there. Kind of this kind of close reaching, fetching sort of angle.
Yeah.
I remember when we were testing before the Vendée, that's kind of the angle where we saw the biggest speed difference or biggest improvement in speed compared to our old set of foils.
Yeah.
Kind of at times 20-25% faster at 70 to 92 in angle, and they'll have that reaching angle for about 3,000 miles in relatively flat water, and it could be 3,000 miles. If you're sailing 20% faster, it could you could eat up a leader a few hundred miles pretty quickly. So I'll be interested to see that part of the race as well.
So that was Will Harris. Fantastic to get his insight into what the fleet are going to be experiencing as they round Cape Horn and head into the South Atlantic. On Wednesday, I'm joined by Sir Robin Knox-Johnson. He'll be, I'm sure, bringing not only his experience but also his insight into this fantastic race. I know he's a big fan of this race, so look forward to catching up with him and seeing you then. Cheers. Bye-bye.